frustration coming from you, the aggression coming from you. I get that. Can I not make my own choices though? Like you're saying, I'm putting you in the spot. How?
Your dad and I are discussing. You only got 2 more weeks here.
Oh, goodness.
So I want you to be more active, more proactive. So I'm not worrying about you.
Okay. Okay. So even like this, like I can feel your aggressiveness
I know,
right now.
and I feel aggression. Right.
Okay. Yes.
I feel anxiety for you.
Okay.
You don't like that, but I feel it.
Okay. So this is what we talked about on Friday.
I know that, Darren.
Okay. This is what we talked about on Wednesday. This is what we've talked about. My goodness. Remember when may I please finish though? May I please finish? Remember when you said, like, when you asked me, you said, well, how much time do you need to find a job? And it was the same aggression coming from you, as if I could give you a specific answer as to when I would find the job. Like those are variables that I don't know. And then do you remember when we talked on Friday and I said about the aggression coming from you, how it's difficult for me? You know, it's like it like all of a sudden I feel like I need to act in response to the aggression that's coming from you, which means I'm no longer making choices on my own, and I'm not doing them from a state of peace.
We have given you a date to be out by July the 1st, and we have extended it.
Okay, I know.
No, you're not hearing me.
No, I am hearing you, and I'm hearing Dad as well. But I think this is something that's a little different, though, because if you'd allow me to finish, remember at the end of the day you said, oh, I guess I'm starting to realize last night, remember you said, I couldn't sleep. Your father's seen that I couldn't sleep. I'm worried for you. I have fear that you're going to be this and that. And then your father said, tell him that we want him out by Monday because, virtually, because he didn't want you feeling upset for me. So that was his way of helping you.
I think because we're both at the end of this.
I know, I get that. But, anyways, just let me conclude this. That was his way of helping you. Because the day prior to that, you said, like, just keep me updated at the end of the day and we'll go from there. And you didn't keep with that promise. The very next day, then you came and talked to me and you said those things to me. Then after that conversation, you said, I'm going to go talk to your father. You just keep me posted at the end of the day. And then I'm going to, because I'm realizing that my stress is now pouring out on him. He's reacting to my stress and that's coming out on you. Do you remember saying that?
It doesn't matter. What you're not getting is Mike came to our door in response to something that you asked him, and you're not even giving him the proper etiquette or whatever you want a word for of going and being a man and going and knocking on his door and talking directly to him. He came to us and said he wanted to see you.
Okay.
You don't care about what his answer is?
Okay. May I please finish though, like that
no,
thought?
We're done. I that's all I'm telling you. You need to knock on his door, but
Okay.
that's up to you. You don't want to knock on his door, that's up to you.
Okay. Okay. So this is an example. I did the recording, so the what I am learning, and oh goodness, I started it. It was actually about these things specifically. And then I went to the park to conclude it because my parents came home and my mother was looking at the phone that was in my hand. This is actually a really good time to be able to explain like what I'm experiencing in this moment. When somebody's that aggressive with you and they're dominating over you, oh my goodness, it is, it really like puts you in a weird state. So like the fight or flight or the paralysis of the thought process, I'm not sure how else to explain it, but it puts you in a really weird state where then you're conflicted because you don't want to simply run around doing what other people are ordering you to do because you're accountable for everything that you do, and you also want to make sure that you're keeping with your priorities. So I find the variable that's not being talked about is the amount of stress that pours out from others and tries to seep into you. I do not want to go and talk to people when I'm like struggling with that. The easiest way I think I could describe this to somebody else, because I understand if you've never been through this, or if you're not currently going through this, when I'm not currently going through, or when I'm not going through this in the future, to look back, I think like, oh, I don't really see what the issue is, and because you're not in that currently in that situation, you're not expected to be able to see it. So I'm just trying to do the best I can to properly illustrate it, and communicate it, as clearly as possible. It's similar to like somebody coming and yelling at you, and like say if you're going to go into a meeting to talk with whomever, say at work, or at work would be a good example, and then your boss comes and yells at you 5 minutes before going into that meeting, or say 15 minutes before going into that meeting. You might go and leave the work grounds and go for a walk, because you need to process first and foremost what just took place. It wasn't dialogue, it wasn't good communication, it was somebody barging in and pouring out aggression on you. But you also need to go and pray. You need to get all these things worked out of you, so when you go back to the meeting or when you go to a meeting or talk to any other colleagues, you're back to at least a level of homeostasis where you're settled. I'm doing that exhale. I'm pretending I'm exhaling. I'm not pretending. I am exhaling. Because if you're full of that, like if you just, when this happens, like it frazzles you, and you don't want to go and speak to people when you're frazzled. And when I was talking with her, I was just trying to bring to the surface. At the end of the conversation, she said she recognized that when she's filled with anxiety and becomes fearful, she pours that out on Dad, my father. Then my father gets really upset, and then he wants to stand up for her and to protect her. And then that's why he makes those decisions. But he doesn't come and tell me himself. He told her to tell me. And she said, you know what? I need to learn to trust God. And when I'm feeling this way, just to go and just say, this is none of my business. I don't need to get involved in this. Why do I feel like so worried for other people? Why do I feel so worried for you? And why is it stealing my sleep and all these things? I need to learn from this. So she says that, but then every time the situation comes up, she does the exact opposite. And then if you go to speak to her about it, and this is what I will say when she's standing here at the doorway and she's like looking in the door, there's hate behind her eyes. Like it's like she's full of all this anger and frustration and aggression. And I'm certain she's upstairs right now full of all this anger, frustration, and aggression. That's really, really difficult to deal with. Very difficult to deal with. And I am now convinced that this is not normal. Like I'm convinced that this is when people talk about, having squabbles in their family, or when they talk about different things, it's not this heightened of an experience. And oh my goodness, it's really difficult. So I'm just here keeping with the priorities. I'm just cleaning, and I'll be transparent. I'll just be honest. And also too, part of like what we talked about was, I said I'll give you guys an update, and I gave an update like that night on the Friday, and she said, no, we don't need to know, we trust you're doing what you're doing. Not understanding that part of me giving the update is protection for myself. And this is another problem too, is them requiring an update when I share different things. Then all of a sudden they start thinking, okay, then this is going to be the option. Okay, there, he needs to jump on this. He needs to be aggressive with this. He needs to this. He needs to that. My goodness, it's my neighbor. He's around all day. I went outside. He wasn't out front, but I'm going to wait until I'm calmed down and settled. But it's not as if this is pressing. If I go to him, it's not as if this is pressing information, as if he needs to know this information by, or immediately. Otherwise, he can't make any choices, like he's stymied to make a choice, like the next choice. He's either going to say he's open to the discussion of having a roommate, or he's not. So that can take place, in 5 minutes. It can take place in an hour.
It can take place, later on this afternoon. It's not, it's not something that's pressing, and I have the responsibility to be accountable for the way I'm feeling and the way I speak. If I'm frazzled and I feel shaken up, it is wise for me to go and to just get away from the situation and to decompress. That's a good word for it. And then to virtually just get my thoughts together. So then when I go and talk with people, I'm not talking from a heightened state of emotion, and I'm clear, I'm present, and I'm just fully aware. But I find when people speak from a heightened state of emotion, it goes to the fight or flight paradigm that I was talking about before. And I find you're fine with many folks that talk from this. They're highly unaccountable because they do the same thing over and over and over again. But when you go and talk to them, their walls are up and they're instantly focused on, nope, I know you need to do this. You should be doing this. You should be doing this. And then they throw, like, even some of the words there when she was speaking, she said, you should be doing like a man. Like, we're at the end of our rope now. You should be handling your business like a man. So, like, saying like a man, that's a jab. I don't respect having conversations. Like, if I'm going to converse with somebody, I can be respectful to them, and I can, it's dialogue. It's meant to get to, come to a solution, and it's meant to just pull out information from their side, reveal information from my side, and then, listen to each other, understand that we're hearing what each other's saying, and learn and grow. But the moment I start making personal attacks towards them, rest assured they can say with all certainty that I have no respect for them. And I also don't really have any respect for myself, nor do I have any respect for that channel of conversation. So that channel of conversation that was meant to be one that is fruitful and one that allows information to travel from one person to another, allow time for one person to accurately hear the other, and then, like, for us to learn and to grow into whatever obstacles around us, to navigate either around it or to find solutions for it, or just to share information. That now has become a channel where disrespect has been permitted to flow, and that's unacceptable to me. So I can only I'll be accountable for myself, but I also can, like, in terms of this, I can now start saying I'm sorry, like, because you're being disrespectful and because you're being forceful. Like, you asked me to provide you with updates, and I was willing to, and then you told me you don't want updates, and then you tell me you want updates, and then you tell me you don't want updates. You're being highly inconsistent. It's extremely difficult for me. And then, as I did the what I am learning in this moment, and I concluded it at the park, so that was this morning. um like, I'm literally just cleaning right now and just focusing on a priority, and I will go and talk to my neighbor. Like, that's something I'm going to be doing. But now everything's been detracted because of, like, that, like, interruption. And then, oh my goodness, like, like, right now I feel more relaxed. The residual effects of that, that those words have simmered down. And so now I'm coming back to homeostasis, because if I'm not in homeostasis, my thoughts can become scattered. I can, like, it can become like a simple task can become a very difficult task, because I'm no longer in a state of mind where I'm, of sound mind. It's important for me to always be of a sound mind. I claim the name of Jesus. I will be intentional and accountable for my words. Our words are very, very powerful, and they have the intent, like, or they have the possibility of, like, doing a lot of damage. So I want to make sure that I'm never speaking from an emotionally charged state. And if I am, then I need to repent to God and then ask Him to reveal to me, the source of that, the anxiety that's coming in, because that anxiety and that fear is not of Him. But also, others who are not able to do this or unwilling to do this can try to provoke you to come into agreement with the way that they handle things. And it's a very difficult thing. And this is something I've never had the opportunity to speak with others, um, because this was always just my norm. And now I find this is kind of interesting because I can put this out there and I could talk to others, and I have talked to others like since I received Jesus. And my eyes were really opened when people said this is not of God. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, I just didn't know, in all honesty. That's no excuse. I should have been prudent. I should have taken my faith more seriously. This would be me speaking back in 2014 when I received Jesus. But I can work from here moving forward. And so anyway, so this is another concrete example of these things occur all the time. So when I make comments like I feel like I'm behind enemy territory, this is not just the time I've been here. This is every time I'm around my parents. It's either they really ignore me and they're very cold and callous to me, or they make fun of me in front of other people, or they get angry and they lash out at me, or like it's one or the other. Either I'm ignored or I'm made fun of. It's very difficult.